Killed while calling 911 tells the harrowing true story of a fractured marriage, rising fear, and a fatal call for help. When a domestic dispute spirals out of control, one parent is left dead, the other behind bars, and 3 children's lives shattered forever. Welcome to True Crime Whisper. The afternoon sunlight slanted through the living room window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air, a deceptive picture of peace. But inside the Turner household, chaos was a palpable force. Kuhn huddled near the old armchair, phone pressed to her ear, her voice thin and sharp with terror, punctuated by ragged sobs. He pushed me, she choked out, her eyes darting towards the hallway, wide and searching. He pushed me to the floor. Please, you have to send someone. I think he might break something. Her hand instinctively went to her arm, though no bones felt broken, only the raw ache of the shove. The fear wasn't just physical. It was the sudden, terrifying realization of how quickly control could vanish. The 911 operator's voice was a lifeline of practiced calm. Ma'am, stay calm. Are you injured? What's your address? Bree rattled off the address, her breath coming in gasps. 142. She looked around frantically. The house was unnaturally quiet now. Her 3 children, Lily, Tom, and little Chloe, were in the den, their laughter muffled, absorbed in cartoons, blissfully unaware that their parents' world was fracturing just rooms away. Outside, Colin Turner stood on the porch, his knuckles white on the doorframe. His face was a mask of frustration and anger, etched with a confusion that bordered on fear. How had they gotten here? This wasn't the life he'd envisioned. Moments ago, it had been shouting accusations, his shove born of his own boiling rage and feeling powerless. And then Bree's sudden collapse into hysterics and dialing 911. He ran a hand through his hair, unsure what to do next. When the sheriff's deputies arrived, the storm seemed to have momentarily receded, leaving behind an eerie calm. Bree, though still trembling, had composed herself. Colin met the deputies at the door, offering a strained smile. Everything's fine now, just a misunderstanding. Heated argument, that's all. Bree, standing a few feet behind him, nodded silently, wrapping her arms around herself. We just need space, she murmured, avoiding eye contact. The deputies, experienced in the volatile nature of domestic calls, surveyed the scene. No obvious injuries, no signs of a struggle beyond Bree's quiet distress. They talked to Bree privately for a moment, asked if she felt safe right now. She hesitated, then nodded again. Without clear evidence of an ongoing threat or immediate harm, their hands were largely tied. They cautioned the couple, handed them information about conflict resolution and local resources, and left, the silence they left behind feeling heavier than before. But silence couldn't mend the widening chasm between them. A few hours later, around 5 p.m., the tension snapped again. Bree, eyes hard, retreated into the house and locked the back door, leaving Colin outside in the deepening twilight. He rattled the handle, disbelief warring with fury. Bree, open the door. What the hell are you doing? His voice was hoarse. Silence answered him. The air crackled. Colin, unable to get back inside his own home, felt a surge of panic. He pulled out his phone and dialed 911 again. His voice, raw with frustration and edged with rising fear, was barely recognizable. She locked me out. My wife, Bree Kuhn. Address is 142. She's losing it. I swear she's losing it. Please, send someone by. Again, deputies arrived. Again, the couple presented a facade of fragile peace. Colin explained Bree had locked him out after another argument. Bree, speaking through a slightly opened window, insisted she just needed time alone and felt threatened by his anger. The deputies mediated briefly from the doorstep, assessing the situation. Still no physical violence observed, no imminent danger they could legally act upon. They advised Colin to stay elsewhere for the night if things were this tense, recommended counseling again, and drove away, leaving Colin on his own porch. The evening stretched on, thick with unresolved conflict. Colin eventually managed to get back inside through the front door, which Bree hadn't locked. He found her in the kitchen, pouring herself a cup of coffee, her back to him, rigid with tension. Every movement felt deliberate, designed to shut him out. "You're heading out again?" he asked, trying to keep his voice level, to sound merely concerned, not accusatory. The late hour, her recent erratic behavior, skipping work, isolating herself, gnawed at him. Bree didn't turn. "Yes, I need to clear my head." Her voice was flat, devoid of emotion. He stepped closer, the words tumbling out, a desperate attempt to reach her. "It's late, Bree. You've been skipping work, avoiding everything. You've got to take care of yourself, of us." His attempt at reason hit a wall of resentment. She finally turned, her eyes flashing. "Don't start. You don't trust me anymore, do you? Is that it? You think I'm incapable?" The accusation hung in the air, heavy with unspoken history. "It's not about trust like that," Colin sighed, softening his voice, his gaze flickering towards the den where the children still were. "I'm just worried about you. And the kids. This isn't good for anyone." That was the spark that ignited the fire. "Worried about them?" she snapped, her voice rising. "I'm worried about them too. Worried about what you'll do. You just let me walk all over you? Let you destroy this family? I just want us safe," Colin said quietly, holding his hands up slightly, a gesture of surrender he immediately regretted. Bree was beyond hearing him. The dam of her anger broke, words spilling out like poison darts, accusations and resentments years in the making. Colin recoiled, shocked by the venom. With a furious exhale, Bree grabbed her car keys from the counter. "I'm leaving." "Wait, Bree," Colin started, reaching a hand out, but she whirled and stormed towards the back door, the one leading to the garage. He followed instinctively. She yanked the door open, slipped through, and slammed it shut with finality. He lunged for the handle, but heard the click of the deadbolt engaging from the other side. "Not this time, Colin." Her voice was muffled but clear through the thick wood. He rattled the handle, his frustration boiling over into outright panic. She had locked him out of the house again, this time leaving him confined to the garage area if he didn't get back inside quickly. He was trapped. He paced the confined space of the garage, adrenaline coursing through him. The seconds stretched into an unbearable eternity. The fight, the locking out, the feeling of being cornered, it all twisted inside him. He needed help, real help. He snatched his phone from his pocket, his hands trembling as he dialed 911 for the third time that day. "Please, send help," he gasped into the phone, his voice ragged, barely comprehensible. 142. "She locked me in the garage. She's losing it. I tried to get back inside. She tried to break my arm when I reached for the door handle. I need help now." He was breathless, leaning against a cold concrete wall, scanning the garage door, the door to the house, searching for an escape route or a threat. The operator's calm voice cut through his panic. "Sir, stay calm. Are you injured? What's your emergency?" Before he could articulate anything further, before the operator could get a fix on his exact location or assess his immediate danger, he saw the back door connecting the garage to the house start to open a crack. And in that crack he saw movement, a shape, a glint. The world seemed to tilt. The words ripped from his lungs, raw terror replacing panic. "She shot me. Oh God. She shot me. She just shot me." The operator's voice, sharp now, echoed from the phone, dropped on the concrete floor. "Sir? Sir, are you okay? What's happening?" Then, a deafening bang exploded within the confines of the garage. Colin crumpled. 2 more shots followed rapidly. Then another. For in total, the line went silent. Outside, the quiet suburban street was suddenly alive with flashing red and blue lights. Police cruisers and an ambulance screeched to a halt in the driveway. Officers, weapons drawn, cautiously approached the garage. They found Colin's body lying face down near the back door, a dark stain spreading across his back, for gunshot wounds. A few feet away, Bree stood frozen, the back door slightly ajar behind her. Her hands were shaking violently as she dropped her phone to the floor. Tears streamed down her face, mixing with smudges of dirt or makeup. She was barely able to whisper, her voice a broken sound. I shot him, she sobbed, looking from the phone to Colin's lifeless body. I just shot my husband. Officers rushed towards her, hands raised, their commands sharp and urgent. Bree, step away from the house. Hands where we can see them. She sank to her knees, her body racked with tremors. He was going to kill me, she wailed, the self-preservation instinct kicking in through the shock. He was going to kill our babies. I had to protect them. I had to. They secured the scene, handcuffed Bree, and led her gently but firmly to a patrol car. As they drove away, the flashing lights reflecting in her tear-filled eyes, her mind spun. Had she really had to? Was it self-defense? Or had the culmination of years of tension, anger, and fear led her to a point of no return, a point where she chose violence? Days later, the sterile walls of the interrogation room seemed to press in on Bree. Her face was pale, her eyes puffy and red, her hands clasped so tightly her knuckles were white. Detective Ramirez sat across from her, his voice calm, persistent. Ms. Kuhn, he began, leaning forward slightly. We have the 911 calls. We have your husband's final moments. We have the evidence from the scene. You told the officers you shot him. We need you to tell us why. Bree finally looked up, her gaze distant, haunted. He was going to take the kids. He threatened to kill them. To kill me. I had to protect my children. He was so angry. I was terrified. Ramirez nodded slowly, acknowledging her fear, but his eyes were sharp, assessing. We understand you felt threatened earlier. You called 911 reporting he pushed you. The deputies came twice, but there was no weapon on him when he was shot. The wounds are in his back. Why did you pull that trigger then? What happened right before? Bree's composure crumbled again. Her voice dropped to a whisper, fragments of panic and justification tumbling out. He kicked me earlier, by the door, when I tried to keep him out. Ramirez made a note, a new detail, inconsistent with her initial report. I screamed for help. I thought he was going to get in. Kill me. I ran. I didn't want to. But I had to stop him. She paused, sobbing. I grabbed the gun. It was in the cabinet. I thought I could just scare him, make him back away. Not kill him. Ramirez leaned back, his face impassive. So you went and got the gun after you were locked in / he was locked out? You retrieved a loaded weapon, went to the garage door where he was trying to get inside, and you shot him multiple times in the back. He let the facts hang in the air, stark and damning, contrasting sharply with her narrative of being solely the terrified victim. The jury would hear the 911 call, hear Colin's panic, hear him say, "She shot me," followed by the shots. They would hear the police testimony, the forensic evidence. They would hear Bree's shifting explanations. In the courtroom, the air was thick with grief and anticipation. Colin's family sat stoically on one side, Bree's family a picture of anguish on the other. Both sides seemed aged by the tragedy, strangers united only by the devastating loss. The judge cleared his throat, his voice cutting through the silence. Has the jury reached a verdict? The foreperson, a woman with weary eyes, stood. We have, Your Honor. Will the defendant please stand? Bree rose, her legs unsteady, her eyes fixed on the foreperson. The world seemed to narrow to this single moment. The foreperson's voice was clear, unwavering. We, the jury, find the defendant Bree Kuhn guilty of first-degree premeditated murder of Colin Turner. A collective gasp filled the room. Bree's eyes went wide, a raw, animal sound escaping her lips before her lawyer gently held her arm. Premeditated. The jury had believed the prosecution's argument that retrieving the gun after the conflict escalated, going to the garage door, and shooting him as he tried to get back in, or was perhaps trapped, showed intent. A plan formed in the heat of the moment but executed deliberately, not purely a spontaneous act of self-defense. The judge's voice, though firm, held a note of sorrow. The defendant is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The gavel fell, a sound of absolute finality. The courtroom doors opened, and people spilled out, a river of hushed sorrow and quiet embraces. Colin's parents, stooped with grief, were surrounded by sympathetic relatives. Bree was led away in handcuffs, her life reduced to numbers and concrete. The children, Lily, Tom, and little Chloe, the invisible center of the storm, were now wards of their paternal grandparents. Their home, their family unit, their innocence, all shattered in a few short hours. As the heavy courtroom door closed behind Bree, the weight of the tragedy settled over the emptied space. Their lives, once ordinary, had become a stark, cautionary tale of how quickly fear and anger, left unchecked and fueled by breakdown, can lead to irreversible destruction. And hanging in the silence, echoing the frantic last words of a man calling for help, was the haunting, unanswerable question. Could any of it have been avoided? What if the deputies had stayed? What if communication hadn't failed? What if fear hadn't morphed into fatal action? The what-ifs were endless, offering no solace, only the cold, hard reality of 2 lives lost, and 3 forever marked by the violence they didn't understand.